Unpack your knives and stay. Yes, stay. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Top Chef RHAPup. I am Haley Strong, and I am here today. Our best friend's back. Hi, LaTonya.
Hi. I'm back. Barely. Barely here, but doing it, enjoying life, watching Top Chef with my friends.
How could you not? Curt Clark and his big, giant peach bellini. You know what the best part about us being on video now? You can see Curt Clark's large peach bellini. And that's not a euphemism. That is literal.
Okay.
Hide your wife, hide your kids.
They have been hidden sufficiently. Here we are to talk about, in my opinion, was the worst episode of this season. With love in my heart, the worst episode of the season thus far. And I don't know if you can sit here and tell me that this challenge was better than chaos cooking. And if you could say that to me with a straight face, well then, gosh darn it, are we gonna have a fight?
This challenge was better than chaos cooking.
I'm gonna kick you out of the podcast.
That's fine. I'll just go to bed.
Yeah, I agree with LaTonya. I'm tired.
I'll do this podcast on my own. I am not afraid.
I would like to see it.
I would have to sit down somewhere and talk it through with people. I don't know when I'd ever have that venue. But it was pretty. Here's the thing. For me, Chaos Kitchen was horrible because of the logistics and just lack of clarity, whereas this was horrible because of literally what the challenge was. Like Chaos Kitchen was horrible because you couldn't tell what the challenge was, and this was horrible because you could.
I would rather the unknown. I'd rather the devil I knew in that case, I think. I don't want it to seem like I am openly mocking the Nordic culture of the fish boil in Wisconsin.
Oh, I thought we were talking about the meat raffle. I'm sorry.
You know what? No, I love a meat raffle. Sign me up for a meat raffle.
That was my nickname in college. Where's old meat raffle?
Yeah, let's just start with the quickfire. I am 2 episodes in. I am already tired of having held over us that the quickfire counts alongside the elimination and who's going home.
Yep.
It's so clunky.
It is so clunky. I mean, the only thing that it's weird. It's the only thing that saved it was that Manny didn't go home, because in the final 3 you had the top 2, but the fact that Sue went home kind of then also negates, I think, the whole philosophy of the quickfire being held over you. I don't know. And getting why make this big thing about immunity is no longer a factor, but Savannah, it's a good thing you won the quickfire.
They don't know. Yeah. I don't even think they know what they're doing.
No.
You know what? Point.
It's down to, well, with somebody coming back from LCK, it's going to be down to 6 again. But I'm hoping that they just rethink it, and we'll see if we see it again next season.
Yeah, if they want, they can call us and we'll help them along. They shouldn't do this again because it's so weird. It's so clunky. I'm a little annoyed by it, and I'm sorry, and I love Top Chef so much, and I just want to be nice to it all the time, but I just can't be nice to it right this second. So for the quick fire, create a dish using your selected protein from a meat raffle. I love that we're always deferring to Dan as our local Wisconsinite to be like, Dan, what's a meat raffle? And he's like, what do you think a meat raffle is? It says it in the name. It's a raffle of meat. What do you want from me, Danny?
Dan is so over this show at this point. He's just every challenge is worse than the last. I'm going to hit someone with my cane. I
love it.
He hates Wisconsin at this point.
He's leaving. He's moving to Chicago, I think. Danny made a za'atar spiced lamb rack. with Jimmy Nardello, harissa relish, labna, and mint. He was in the bottom with that. Dan made a Sichuan Chateaubriand with the noodle dumpling, and he was sort of in the bottom. Michelle made a jerk chicken nugget with black bean puree and pickled mango salsa. She was definitely in the bottom. Sue made a dozer rock with luncheon meat, marinated egg, jasmine rice, and Brussels sprouts. He was at the top. Savannah made crispy corned beef and beet salad, creme fraiche, and pickled celery, and she won. And Manny made a Wagyu ribeye, aguachile, serrano chili, churritos, onions, and cilantro relish. He was in the power bottom with that, according to Curt's notes. The challenge here, boy. Who was surprised that the people who ended up with the lower end cuts of meats won? Because I was not. It felt obvious.
Yeah, because I think I think you're going to potentially pick up on it more. There's more room to elevate when you're at rock bottom.
Except for Michelle and her jerk chicken nugget. And like, I think it could have worked if she had cooked it for more than 3 minutes.
Yeah.
She gave them raw, not just raw chicken, raw ground chicken.
Ground chicken.
Which is just like grosser. And like, I'm specific about ground chicken. I'm fine with it in a meatball or like whatever. But recently Ethan made these like chicken burgers using them, kind of like a McChicken or a junior chicken patty, and like I could eat it, but I don't want to eat it again. Like it's just kind of that texture that ground chicken does when it's like there. It's not great. And then baby Manny.
Sorry, I'm trying to remember what was still left on the table when I was more surprised that she took
everything. She like went second or something.
Yeah. Like that she took that probably would have been the one I would have chosen last, even with having the corned beef like hash or whatever it was, and let's just call it Spam instead of luncheon meat, can we?
Yeah, we can. We're not held by any branding standards. Branders, as you would.
Branders.
Thank you, LaTonya. I didn't think it was that good of a joke, but I'm glad you liked it.
I'm gonna name my firstborn child Brandard.
Brander. Yeah, it's I don't know. I was just very surprised. I think that's like the one thing that I almost looked at is like it's not good to begin with, and it also doesn't have the ability to be redeemable.
And that wasn't a nugget. That wasn't a little dainty nugget.
It looked like a Rice Krispie square, but like could kill you.
I'm just not used to having like, and like there's this whole thing that just confuses me about the UK, where they refer to chicken sandwiches as chicken burgers, regardless of the format of it. Whereas I'm used to like hamburgers and turkey burgers are usually the ground form of that product put in a bun, but you don't really see ground chicken in a similar form. Usually it's like a fillet or a breast or something. So I just kind of get skeeved out a little bit by ground chicken. So especially when it's raw. Good job on Kish for not eating her raw chicken.
The amount of things that she has been served raw this season, I feel like it's just her that it happens to.
I mean, at that point, just call it chicken sushi and be done with it.
Ew.
No.
Chicken tartare.
Is there any
bad
of these,
to worse?
Is there any of these dishes you would have ordered? Because it seemed bad. All of them seemed. I'm like happy for Savannah and Sue, but I'm not gonna partake in canned meat, and that's not against canned meat. It's against me eating it.
I would have gotten the. I think I would have actually gotten the two tinned dishes. Like I had just a couple days ago when spoiler alert for the eating section from the tiki bar across the street. I got their musabi sushi, so like Spam sushi. I'm fine with Spam. I'm fine with corned beef hash, and like the idea of crispy corned beef hash kind of with the beet salad is kind of intriguing. The one thing I probably would have ordered based on the name is I would have just really been intrigued by the Sichuan Chateaubriand noodle dumpling. The name of it, the description sounds interesting.
Fair, but in practice, it looked wild. It
but
looked like the Chateaubriand had to go to the hospital and get like a cast on it, like one of those like third grade casts, because it was like so thick and chunky.
We've always done this exercise based on the description. Like, despite how it
You're
looked,
right.
this would have intrigued me if I'd seen it on a menu.
I don't think I can. Like, I think if I had to sit at the restaurant and order one of these, I think I am ordering the Wagyu rib.
Yeah, I'm getting mayonnaise.
Oh, I'm getting mayonnaise, all right. I would get that one. One time my husband called me a beefy beeferton, and that was because he says I like beef. He didn't realize the connotation that it could be making fun of me in a rude way.
Slightly.
He's so sweet and doesn't always hear himself. And I cried. He was like, "What are you crying for? Like, you just like beef." Talking
wow,
to men is a sport.
I need more peeks inside your relationship. I feel like that's what this podcast is.
I should invite him on the podcast with everyone one time.
Yeah,
he did join us once when LaTonya couldn't make it.
He did.
So.
It was to be remembered. I'm not like blown away by anything in the meat raffle challenge, and like except Art Smith. I love Art Smith.
Yeah, he looks like Santa Claus but knows about food.
Hot Santa. Elimination challenge. Create a fish boil with 2 sides. The part about this that was fun was seeing some of the all-stars, including Curt. Let's play trivia. What season was Jeremy on?
He was on the California season.
What place did he come in?
He came in 10th place.
He won.
Oh, okay.
This man won the season of Top Chef, and it took me 3 whole minutes to recognize him.
To be fair, when they brought all 6 chefs up, they showed what season they were
said,
on.
"Wow, 5 all-stars and a cameraman. That's so kind of them to invite him."
I only knew that because I paused it and looked at the caption as to see who was from which season.
Okay. And again, with love in my heart, whenever I rewatch Top Chef California, I go, I really can't remember who won this. Every time.
I don't rewatch Top Chef nearly enough.
So few people do, honestly.
Yeah, it's
I'm
guessing it's a rewatchable show because I know that Haley does it.
But to be fair, I watch I rewatch a lot of shows. Like I watch Taskmaster every single night before bed, and like you would think at a point it loses its luster. It doesn't. I'll tell you that for free.
See, it's just my backlog of things I want to watch is just so embarrassingly huge. I have to really, really, really like convince myself to rewatch something because there's so much I haven't watched. The only time I'll rewatch something is if I'm like about to watch like a new season of a show that's just been released, and the previous season was like a year or 2 ago, and I may go back and rewatch it to prepare for the new season, only because I'll watch like 30 seconds of the new season and be like, I don't remember any of this, even with the help of a last season on. But yeah.
I don't know if there's any shows out there that I want to watch, but I haven't seen yet.
Oh, I have low standards.
You don't think I do? I don't want anything that's been nominated for an Emmy except in the reality TV category.
But the fact that you don't watch horror movies or thrillers cuts you off of a whole genre of horrible,
terrible
watching experiences.
Yeah, I don't want to be thrilled. I don't want to be horrored, and I don't want to be in suspense.
I don't want to be
horrored.
I don't. Why would I want to be scared? I'm scared every single moment of every single day. Why do I? That's not entertainment.
It makes you feel alive. They're like comfort food for me.
Unfortunately, I already feel alive. The depression makes sure I feel it.
I think Dan was speaking for all of us when he was described.
When he
he's like,
insulted that man's job and livelihood.
that was hilarious.
That guy
God.
only rides around on an e-bike. Like he has no other mode of transportation.
His name is Torch.
His,
my point has been proven.
he it's like, I like a crab boil, I like a fish fry, but I don't like a fish boil.
No, Dan was like, no, it's gross. Like it's gross.
You're not supposed to.
And
do
they're
this
like,
to fish.
challenge! It's a challenge. And he's like, no, can we cancel this? We shouldn't be doing this. It's gross. And then even like the description of like, no, we have to throw the kerosene on it so it boils over. So all the fish grit just boils off. Like what? I don't want there to be fish grit to begin with. I don't want it.
No, it was a little bit weird.
What do you mean a little bit weird? It was all weird.
No,
it was a lot of weird.
Sorry, the part that I found
Most
unusually weird was everyone go out back, and then there's like, it was almost like I thought they were going to shoot them.
Was gonna like, line them up and shoot them. I'm going out back. Like, is this a heist?
I thought Kristen was gonna like pass around a talking stick or something, because they're like seated around, like everyone take a seat, and I thought there was gonna be this really deep discussion about something and what it means to be a top chef. I didn't know where it was going, but I think it was just like
parking lot.
You thought they were going to have a meaningful discussion in the parking lot.
And it was just like, everyone sit down because this is the safe zone from the fireball that's about to erupt.
That was dangerous. I don't like danger.
And they just kept doing it.
And they just kept
and then
they're like, you know what? We'll get there and we'll
get
talk
there.
about this.
We have to talk about Tom.
But he's so hot. But we also have to talk about how badly I needed Savannah and Shota to kiss, and they didn't kiss. Did you guys not get the chemistry coming off of them? Savannah was like, I was so excited to talk to Shota, and Shota's like, I cannot let Savannah down. It's like, oh, kiss.
And I'm not trying to like, this is the venue we're on, so I'm going to ask it. I thought that she was like married, and I was like, oh, interesting, but I could be wrong.
Whispering about marriage, like it's a taboo.
It is.
No, look. Well,
no, I shouldn't be talking about them kissing if she's married. I feel like I looked for a ring and didn't
I was getting that same vibe, and I was like, oh, I thought she was married. Oh, maybe she's not.
Savannah has the face of somebody who would be married, and that is like a compliment.
What does that mean?
Like, she's so pretty. Like, and
speaking to two single people, explain
you're
yourself,
also both so pretty. Like, what do you want from me? Do you want me to marry you two? I can't.
Yes.
I legally can't.
You legally could.
If I got a divorce, I can't afford this place if I divorce him.
He would be so lost.
His health benefits are so good. I go to the dentist twice a year. You think I can do that without him? I can't. I can't divorce him.
That's a solid argument, you know. Men don't have very many purposes, and one of them is definitely money and insurance.
It is the dental plan. I love going to the dentist.
It's like I'm not even here.
I have a purpose,
which I've been saying to myself for 40 plus years. I was really happy to see Sarah again.
Oh, I love Sarah. I love Sarah. I love May too. Like May and paired up with Nanny. Like she could eat him alive, and he knew it. He knew
she was like, really? Guacamole is
like, I don't think that's a good idea.
Really?
He's like,
and always good. Like Gregory's like a staple.
Gregory, gotta love
Gregory.
But then it was like, was it then Jeremy and it was Justin? I was a little bit like, I'm not remembering these two completely, but
I love Justin.
Thanks for coming back.
Also, Top Chef Kentucky, right?
The thing is, I probably drafted Jeremy. Let's be real.
No, yeah, Jeremy is like the number one Curt Clark.
Yeah,
girly. Like he is. That's you. Okay. Also, and then there's a twist. If the fish boil wasn't bad enough, guess what? The old Top Chefs are going shopping for you. Like I appreciate the Top Chef is trying stuff. I just don't like what they're trying and when they're trying it.
I just think that If something isn't broken, then you don't need to break it. You
That's
know,
so true. This is a great quick fire thing to do.
Yeah, or don't highlight it as a twist. Like I was like, maybe have them cook in pairs with the former contestant.
I
Maybe
thought
go
that's what we
shopping
were
together.
right? I thought they were going to be going versus the former
Yeah.
contestants, which would
Oh,
have
I
been
thought
fun
they were
too.
going to be like sous chefing them.
Yeah, if it was, I almost would have liked it better if they hadn't gotten a chance to talk. Like literally, like you're gonna end up with what you're gonna end up
talk
with.
to each other, not just like in general. You don't want them just
It'd
to
be
stop
better
talking.
if they were just mute. It's the mute challenge just for the entirety of the season.
Imagine
Yes.
charades where
Yes.
you had to like act out what you want your shopping list to be.
Oh, God, that would have been so annoying. I would have loved it. Like if they were like, you know what, and you have to deal with whatever this professional chef picks for you,
Mhm.
you're probably going to be in a more of a flexible mindset
Mhm.
than if you're like, okay, this is what I'm planning. I hope they come back with it. I mean, they said, I think Sue had said, yeah, we're likely going to have to pivot in several ways. And, but yeah, I wasn't crazy about how it did feel a little more quick fiery, like the sort of like, go shopping for your ingredients, now swap with the chef on your left or something like that, but it was like, yeah, okay. And I'm not a fish fan anyway, so let alone boiled.
I like fish, but this all just looked bad. Like it
I
looked
love
genuinely
fish.
bad.
It just it just seems like against God's plan in some way.
I agree with you. Sure,
Just-
God put those animals on the earth for cooking and eating, but not like that.
No.
Not like that.
Whenever a bunch of people get together in like a very white community and decide we're going to develop a cuisine, I'm like, no, thank you. I don't know if
Wait. I'm trying to think of counterexamples.
I should say in America that is the case. Because like, who sat down and was like, you know what we should do with this fish? We should boil it until it loses all integrity. And then slap it on the plate with some potatoes, an onion maybe.
I just want to talk about how they tried to kill everyone in so many different ways during this. So first of all, they're on the sand and it's hot. Do you think Dan is able to efficiently use his cane in the sand? Because gosh darn it, I don't think so. It was hot.
At least put down a floor for them to like. You know what I mean?
They couldn't put down any wood because they had to use fire bombs. They had to.
I was very glad. I think like I threw all logic out the window and was just assuming they had to do that themselves. And I was very glad.
I was so glad when they did it. When Torch came back, I was like, oh, thank God.
I was like, are they gonna practice?
I know.
Like, I'm scared.
I didn't. And then it was so windy that these fire bombs were blowing into the tents.
The only reason that Tom showed up to judge this challenge is to see the fire bombs happen, because he was so overly hyped every time Torch made an appearance. He was like, oh, is it time for another one? Not because his food is good, but because I like fire, apparently.
Yeah.
Whichever two chefs were in downwind from the fire bombs, I felt so bad for them.
Like Manny's over it. He's just standing there at the end, being like, "I'm tired. I need these eyebrows. Like I can't lose them.
And let's
They're part
talk
of the
about
vibe."
Yeah, the man is covered in hair.
Let's talk about Torch. Speaking of mute,
and then Torch was standing downwind of the fire.
He would run.
You think he would go to the other side based on the wind, but he was like, I'm standing here.
Don't question his method.
How much money do you think Top Chef paid him to repeatedly do that?
Enough so that they didn't have to pay him to have a speaking role on the episode, because he did not say a damn thing the entire time. And he wasn't even a judge. His whole, this is typically the person who's the cranberry expert or the dairy expert who then has to also apply their expertise to what was made. He was the fire expert. He's only
fire. He's only on fire.
It sounded like when they introduced, and maybe that's actually his specialty, but he was, I swear, kind of served up as the fish boil expert.
Yeah.
But he's the pyrotechnics expert.
I also want to go back a few minutes into the episode where somebody said, "Oh, the fish is moist." Also, it should be moist. It's just been in water. Like
it's been soaking
in water. But then Dan was like, "No, it's not." Like, what a savage bitch Dan is. I love him so much.
He can't be bothered anymore with this show, and I can appreciate that because as a viewer this season, I often feel the same way. It's really nice to see someone express it on the show as they compete and win challenges that they just hate.
Yeah. Like any other show, they would show like 2 of the fire bombs and then yada yada. No, we got to see all 6 of the exact same fireball. Like, there's nothing new about this, except for the ever increasing potential that one of the tents catches on fire.
Yes.
Like,
it's just it's the weirdest thing I've seen on television in a while, and I just finished watching the most recent season of Survivor. To go straight from that Survivor finale into this episode of Top Chef was
too much fire. Too much fire.
Too much fire.
I also just want to point out that Michelle's broth looked so beautiful and great and wonderful, and like it made me want like a seafood boil. But then when we showed us the fish, it was just like white and plain, and she like was like, "I guess I have to like put seasoning on this so it doesn't look white and plain on this plate." Should we get into the dishes? I guess if we have to. They're all something boil, by the way. Danny Shopper was just in, and he made a sofrito boil with salsa verde, carrot slaw, French bean, and bonito salad, and he won with this dish. Savannah was shot for by Shota, and she made a kimchi gochujang boil with baby potatoes, smashed tofu salad. Sue had Gregory and made a pineapple curry fish boil with fish sauce beurre blanc, twice cooked potatoes, and crispy corn miso slaw. Dan had Jeremy shopping for him and made a red curry boil, coconut herb slaw with peanuts, fingerlings, duck fat, and shiro dashi oil. Michelle had Sarah, and she made a Cajun boil with charred corn and kale salad, potatoes with sausage, peach, and garlic butter sauce. And Manny had May shopping for him and made a Mexican boil with tostadas, guacamole, Mexican white rice with corn, and chipotle lime butter. Savannah, Manny, and Sue were in the bottom, with Sue being eliminated. Michelle, Dan, and Danny were in the top, with Danny winning. We tried. Michelle had like the direction which I think I would have appreciated the most. Yeah. Savannah like opened her hand, and I was queasy for the rest of the episode. And the thing that really surprised me was the whole firebomb part of it. After the firebomb happens, the chef has to help Blaze, or whatever his torch, some American gladiator's name. But he has to help him he had to wolf it. Yeah. He has to they had to carry the pole. He had to scorpion it. Yeah. But the chef had to help Torch carry the pot. They had the big long pole, one of them on each end, the pot hanging in the middle. And I felt so bad for Savannah because her hand is all bandaged up, and why make her carry the pot? Also, she was mixing her salsa with her bandage hand, and I know she had the glove on, but no thank you. None of these appealed to me.
Things are just downhill for Savannah after
and downwind.
Yeah.
I felt really bad for her because she just stabbed her hand.
Like, I was surprised she didn't come out through the other side, honestly. Like, I'm surprised she didn't hit a ligament or something. Ugh, I can't.
Yeah, she said it was the deepest cut she's ever had.
See, this is why I don't watch, like, slasher effects, because I have a very weak stomach.
I loved that Sarah and Michelle were teamed up because they both have kind of that Southern influence in their cooking. So I thought that was really like kismet. Like that was
so beautiful.
kind of cool.
You know
But
what
yeah,
I was thinking when they had to pick the shoppers? Do you all ever like order from Instacart or something like that?
No, I don't trust other people, and I also love grocery shopping.
I don't trust other people.
I'm also not sure if it exists in my very small town.
Oh, fair. When I do order from Instacart, I am always pleasantly surprised when I get a woman, because men, I'm sorry, I don't hate men. That's not the case. I just don't understand why you all can't follow directions. And women are the best Instacart shoppers.
Give me an example. What's an example of a time a man ignored your Instacart directions?
I ordered lettuce and got a cabbage.
But they look alike. Like, what's the difference?
Here's the thing. If I was, I would follow your instructions to the T, but I would like triple worry about everything that it would take you forever.
That's what I would do.
You would get the food so late.
I would love to Instacart, but then if something was like if you wanted like a Red Delicious apple and like they only had like Honeycrisp and like whatever is the closest thing to Red Delicious possible, I'd be like, oh, they're gonna personally hate me if I mess this up.
No, like if you ordered Honeycrisp but they had Cosmic Crisp, I would sit there like for 10 minutes being like, do I just get it? I mean, it's crisp. It's a crisp, but it's a slightly different. It's a hybrid crisp.
Do they want like a really big Honeycrisp, or do they want like a mid-sized Honeycrisp, or like a small Honeycrisp? Like, what size Honeycrisp do you want?
Should I get them one of each?
Bananas. Would you like them more green? Would you like them more yellow? Like, what is the I would have to like call them and be like, what is the purpose for the bananas? Are they smoothie? Are they like on the counter? Are you making banana bread?
There's no other ingredients on her list that indicates she'd be making banana bread. So maybe
she has everything she needs.
Yeah. It becomes like we've talked previously, like in previous seasons, about Crime Scene Kitchen, which was kind of like look at the kitchen after a bake and try to figure out what was made. And yeah, that would be I would just not handle it well, I don't think. But I would try my best.
I would try so hard. I would try too hard, honestly.
That's so funny. Like, I'm sorry. The stress that you all got from just thinking about the idea of shopping for somebody.
Yeah, we spiraled. Curt and I just spiraled.
Yes. That is the definition.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, and so Michelle's, I thought, was probably the one I would order the best.
I think so.
Dan's, I think, looked the best, mostly because I couldn't see the fish through the curtain. Like, I was like, yay, I don't have to see the fish.
It reminded me a lot of Hot Pot. Like, but
okay. Yeah.
And especially because
Torch is not at Hot Pot.
Yeah. I mean, especially because like you're not doing much to the meat other than creating the broth is kind of almost what it seemed like.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it just doesn't not my cup of
broth.
Cup of broth.
Danny was very smart in that he like pre-brined his fish, and it made such a big difference. I really appreciated May's commitment to dressing like a WestJet pilot this episode, and that might be hyper specific to the Canadian airline users, but if you know, you know. Curt, have you ever flown in WestJet before?
I have not.
Wow, that's Canada's premier airline, in my humble opinion. I'm a WestJet loyalist. Screw you, Air Canada. Just kidding. Air Canada, if you want to sponsor me, call me. I'm available. Gosh darn it, do we have anything else to say about this elimination challenge?
This might be a record-setting podcast in terms of its brevity.
I just I'm so
there has to be something else that we missed.
I'm so blown away by like how disappointing this challenge was.
Again, we saw Sue, Savannah, and Manny in the bottom three, and first of all, the reason I had in our spreadsheet Dan as bottom question mark was because we only got a top 2.
Yeah.
And then they listed everybody except Dan as, well, here's why I didn't like your food. And then there's like a strange kind of pause. And I'm like looking at my notes, like, is Dan just kind of in the middle? But then they start giving him feedback as well. And it was kind of, here's what could have been better. So like, is he in the bottom? Do we have a bottom 4? And then
I genuinely don't know.
Yeah. So when we saw that it was Savannah, Sue, and Manny in the bottom, I'm like, well, Manny's gone.
I thought so too, because he was like mid and mid, but like Sue's, I guess, was like super bad, and Savannah's was super bad.
Yeah.
So like canceled out how mid Manny's was. And like Manny's was like the most boring plate to look at. Like the white rice and just the white fish. And like I almost fell asleep looking at his plate. And like, Manny, I'm so sorry, baby. You know I love you. But I couldn't.
This was not it.
It wasn't.
I was confused about what the plan was going to be with the tostadas. Like, is he buying them? Is he making his own tortillas, or what the whole plan was going to be? But like when you were talking about, I was going to get something store bought. I was like, okay, that's potentially bad. And then the whole thing about, well, in Mexico, guacamole is a side. It's not just like, it's a side in itself. It's not just, I guess,
like a dip,
a topping or a condiment.
I can get behind that, and I think I would have appreciated having guacamole after like 7 different kinds of weird boiled soft potatoes.
But when it seemed like it was raised
covered in
like
fish scum.
It seemed it was raised, like the possibility was raised that the judges might think that guacamole isn't a side, and by Manny saying, well, where I'm from, it is a side, that seemed like something that would potentially come back to and be revisited. It was really only revisited in terms of simplicity, and like, you didn't knock us out of the park with this.
If I have to pay extra for something at Chipotle, I'm going to assume it's a side.
Okay.
Fair enough. I don't know how to toss that ball back to you. I'm sorry.
No, I want to tell you guys about something that's going on in my real life, and that's that we tried to watch the Blue Jays game. But it's in Detroit right now, so your hometown Tigers. But the power to both of the trucks went out that like broadcast the game, so they had to use like the scoreboard cam to like show the game. So you're only getting the pitcher and the batter, and you're not getting anything else that's happening. And like sometimes you'll see somebody's baby because it's like the jumbotron. And then the two guys who were like the lead-ins, they were having to call some of the game. They're like, well, we think that's a double play, but we can't tell. And then they were able to get the play-by-play guys on the cell phone. Like it's literally through the cell phone. And then the cell phone was like 15 full seconds ahead of like what we were seeing on the Jumbotron feed. So like Dan Shulman's like, and we have a home run by Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. And they were like, we don't see the home run. And then 15 seconds later, we see the home run. And then at one point he sneezed and he's like, sorry, I usually have the cough button. I don't have the cough button on the phone. Anyway, this is a total side note, but it just made me giggle.
I was waiting for this to somehow, usually with our segues.
It does. Honestly, it just reminded me of when, like, back in the day when we first started podcasting. By that, I mean me and Amy. And, like, my internet was so bad that sometimes she had to call me over the phone to, like, record my side of the podcast. Mom, Dad, you can't use the phone for an hour and a half. I have to call Amy. Don't worry, she's calling me collect. It's fine. Anyway, I just like wanted to talk about that, and it just made me laugh, and I just thought it was funny. Because there's nothing else to talk about this episode because it was bad.
Well, I could talk about Last Chance Kitchen.
We have to talk about Last
You
Chance
have to.
Kitchen.
Like, we're at 39 minutes and 15 seconds, and usually, like, we're just doing, like, we're finishing our intros at that point in the podcast.
Yeah. Okay, so it was 3 people because Laura and Amanda advanced from last time. Sue is joining them. This was actually, I found it kind of interesting. They had to create a dish that has utilized elements of all of the previous quickfires. So they had to make a dish that included hops, cherries, a sauce element, dairy, cranberries, a flambe element, and some meat raffle proteins.
I don't
Yeah.
like it.
I know.
I don't.
It's
Did
a
Sue design
terrible
this
idea.
challenge?
I loved the idea
Oh my god, Curt.
because 2 of the 3 of them made a cherry cranberry sauce, which
I mean,
ticked
why
off-
wouldn't you? I
Yeah.
bet Amanda was like making this cherry cranberry sauce, being like, "This is what got me out. Basically, is this a cranberry sauce?"
Yeah. So it was kind of just like it, and the thing that struck me was that like Sue was in Last Chance Kitchen for half of these quick fire. Like he wasn't like hadn't experienced
That's
any
so
of them,
true.
but like he hadn't had to cook with hops before, and
so the first thing he did was throw an entire hop into his mouth and blow out his palate.
yeah,
Great.
and he ends up losing the
Baby
first part of the
boy.
yeah. He I don't think that's why he lost, but
No.
he was eliminated. So Amanda made hop smoked Wagyu ribeye with potato puree sauce and flambéed cherry and cranberry relish. Sue made a Chateaubriand with sourdough hop puree using some like brioche bread, cranberry and cherry sauce, and compressed carrot and celery. And Laura made Wagyu kebabs with baba ganoush. Just fun to say. Baba ganoush,
So
cranberry and pepper relish, hop shug sauce, and flambéed cherry sauce. So you really couldn't get the cherry flambe out of any of these
Nope.
recipes.
I mean, what are you gonna do? Flambe the Wagyu? Like,
Yes.
Does that work?
Yeah, I don't see why not.
I don't know. Do you want to dump alcohol on Wagyu? I'm not like an expert.
Yeah. So it was.
As
Does
Curt
this
reaches
man
for
want
his
to
giant
dump alcohol on
beverage.
Wagyu? Yeah, he definitely does.
Yeah, it was what it was.
What
It was
a
an
ringing
easy-
endorsement.
I mean, like, so, you know, Sue was out with eliminated with his dish because the idea of a sourdough hop puree, Jesus, you know?
Yeah, it was pretty like the feedback was pretty negative. like before Lara presented like I was just because Tom will typically taste each of the quick fire dishes and then we'll kind of go down the row and give his thoughts and then present the verdict. And it's literally called the verdict in Last Chance Kitchen. When he gave so Amanda's feedback was given. It was okay. It's like okay, not you're kind of middle of the road. Then Sue's feedback was given like, hey, he's gone. Like unless Lara really messed up. And then he seemed to like Lara's the best. And so I was like, yeah, the more he kept talking, I was like, Sue is out of this. So it's like I think I was kind of rooting for Sue or Amanda. Yeah, but yeah, Sue is now gone. And Kevin and Rastika brought out the table that had all of the so they're both there and providing additional commentary. So they're not going to be there anymore because Last Chance Kitchen is closed because we went from part 1 to part 2 where it was a throwback to at this point Kristen was there helping Tom judge, and then for the second part they brought out May from Boston to help act as a judge, and they said with Kristen there was like Kristen's challenge that she came back on was just make a great plate of food, and so that's what the challenge was for this: just make a great plate of food. And Amanda made gnocchi with scallops, corn, charred onion, and a shrimp boil sauce. She said there's nothing she loves more than she's really come to respect the boil culture.
Baby boy.
But
yeah,
like she wasn't even here.
Let's see Amanda with a fish boil and see if
she wasn't even there for the fish boil episode. Let's remember, like she wasn't there this episode. She's probably kicking herself.
She probably wouldn't respect it as much if she was.
And then Laura made a zettanagli vegetables, celery root, artichoke, mushroom with crab salad. So Amanda had she had some potato puree left from her previous round, the part 1 of this episode. So she used that to make gnocchi. It was a little bit gummy, according to Tom. I'm just remembering some of the things they said about going back to last about Sue. Sue was kind of trying to make, given the cranberry of it all, kind of almost like a take on a Thanksgiving dinner. The sourdough hop puree was almost supposed to be like a stuffing. One of the critiques that Tom had was that he had in that just like uncooked celery, like chunks of celery, and just was really kind of it was just really off-putting.
But he came back to cheer on the people to cheer on Laura and Amanda, and he had beer with him. Yeah, and he and Kevin were having a beer, and so then Kristen came back, to like do her judge thing, and Sue was like, "I'm sorry," and she was like, "What? Are you not allowed to drink? Are you not over 21?" It was just a very, very cute moment.
Kristen
You're legal, aren't you?
I love her.
But yeah, Amanda's gnocchi were a little bit gummy. Tom was impressed with the levels of flavor, or the layers of flavor in what Laura made. And so Laura is actually going back to the competition, where Dan can now focus on staying alive in her presence versus hating on the challenges that he faces.
I can't wait until we see like a little like
side
of him going like, come on.
Here's who's coming back. And he's like,
and he like, really her? Like, I can't really see it.
I felt like I knew who was gonna win Last Chance Kitchen because of the next week on, like the preview.
So I never watched that.
I shouldn't have watched it.
What gave it away? Like the boot?
What gave it away?
They showed the person like walking through the door, and they showed like a leg, but like it could only have been Laura or Sue based on body type, basically. And it seemed pretty obviously that it was Laura.
I saw the little boot. Like all I saw was the little booty, and I was like boot, like a boot, like a shoe boot, like not like not like a that.
I was like, yeah, they did not come in ass first.
I wouldn't say that. I saw the little boot, and I was like, it's a girly, and I wasn't sure which one it was because I just wasn't paying attention that hard at that point. I'm sorry. I really wanted Amanda to win because I love Amanda.
I know.
And I want her to be our friend.
I was rooting for her when Sue got eliminated. If she and Sue had made it, if she and Sue had made it to part 2, I don't know who I would have rooted for, but
yeah. Sorry, Amanda. You had a really great run and produced some great food on Last Chance Kitchen. So. And you had the guts to do gnocchi in, 30 minutes?
Yeah. Anyway, that's all I got. No more Last Chance Kitchen. Closing it out.
Wow. RHAP Last Chance Kitchen, I guess.
Yeah.
LaTonya, what did you eat this week?
Interesting question, given that I haven't really been able to eat anything.
All right.
I've had some great ginger ale, lots of soup. It's been really sad. Honestly, I don't know how people just don't eat. Like, I really don't.
I know, I do love eating.
It is really difficult, and my body hates me right now. So there will be more soup for dinner. Sorry to disappoint everyone.
It's okay. We are just hoping you feel better so you can have less soup soon. Curt, what about you?
Well, I'm drinking my peach Bellini mango slushy. So I'm in Vegas. I got here Tuesday night. So I've been eating some fun stuff, and I had for dinner last night. So I'm staying in the Cosmopolitan. There's kind of a little food hall here called Block 16. And David Chang has a place there called Bang Bar, which is just kind of like wraps and stuff. There's a wrap that they call the U-wrap, where it's a really large, thin flatbread, and I had it filled with spicy pork, and they roll it up, but it's probably like a good over a foot long when it's rolled up. So then they bend it like the letter U, so it's almost like a picture like a long skinny wrap that they fold in half so that it doesn't, and both ends are now like facing up. So that had a side of spicy eggplant that was really good. There's a restaurant here called Holstein's, which is kind of an upscale burger bar that's closing sometime this summer. So and I don't think it's like for renovations. I heard it's like closing. So if you are in Vegas and then check out Holstein's to see if it's still open. I got they have these bamboozled, emphasis on the booze, bamboozled shakes. I got their Donatella shake, which
I
is...
genuinely thought the emphasis was going to be on the bamboo, if I'm being perfectly honest with you.
No. There's a picture of this meal on my Instagram. The milkshake has coffee liqueur, Nutella, coffee, hazelnut croquant, a donut, a pirouette cookie, chocolate covered espresso beans, and vanilla frosting. It's like one of those Bloody Marys that has like
The shrimp and
sliders and pizza
bacon.
slices.
Yeah.
That was really good. And then I got the burger I always get is their billionaire burger. It's foie gras and prime beef blend, provolone cheese, onion marmalade, port reduction, frisee, arugula, and a truffle aioli.
Yum.
It's just so decadent. It's like my go-to. And I had a side of sweet potato fries. And then
To really balance things though.
Yes.
And then today for lunch, I went to a similar food hall in the Aria, which is like right next to the Cosmopolitan, and I went to an Italian quick serve place. I think it's called Parm, where I got basically an Italian sub, which was pretty tasty. But then they had these buffalo cukes. So it was like cucumbers with buffalo sauce and blue cheese crumbles. Pretty good. Pretty good. And then tonight I'm going to the Hakkasan restaurant, not the nightclub, in the MGM Grand for dinner. That's going to be a late night. Tomorrow I'm doing the Wicked Spoon Buffet, which is my favorite buffet in Vegas. Doing that for like a brunchy thing tomorrow morning. I'm working while I'm out here, so once we get to like noonish on the East Coast, I'm gonna head there because we have a half day tomorrow. But yeah, so just eating and drinking and working and walking,
having a good time.
Yeah. How about you?
Well, last week, Friday for dinner, I had my favorite, which is small Chinese food. It was delicious per usual. And then Ethan wasn't feeling very well that night. So then I got to eat his leftover mall Chinese food for lunch the next day. And I had a great time eating that. What else did we do? I made some burgers last week and some buns and had those and they were good. I made shrimp shawarma wraps yesterday and those were delicious. Ethan made a really good dish he found on, because he's not on TikTok, Instagram Reels, that uses like orzo and cherry tomatoes and like tomato sauce and beans, and that was delicious. And then I made, which was quite possibly the most beautiful dessert I've ever made. And if you follow me on Instagram, you might have seen it. It's the rhubarb tarts I made. I made like a homemade pie crust and a homemade strawberry rhubarb jam. And then I did some like very intricate rhubarb work.
Ooh, that's beautiful.
If you're watching the video, you can see it. And if you're only listening to the podcast, then you can follow me on Instagram. But that was it. Just kind of hung around. This morning I had to go into the office. And like going into the office just like always throws me off a little bit. So I had made like a beautiful smoothie last night. So I got a nice smoothie for breakfast. And then I got into the office. I put my lunch bag on the table. And it rolled off and my smoothie broke. My smoothie just broke. It broke. And it cut open the bag of chips I had brought with me. So I couldn't eat the chips either. I couldn't eat the chips. So I couldn't eat the chips because there was glass in them. Oh boy. So it's a full moon and I could tell. Yeah, I could tell. But that's it, guys. LaTonya, where can people find you on the internet if you want to be found on the internet?
The shortest podcast in the history of Top Chef.
Truly.
Thank you, Fish Boil. Thank you, Torch.
Thanks, Torch, for setting
Nitro.
fire to this episode. Okay, the internet. People can find me on Twitter at LK Starks. Where I'll just be wondering for all eternity why Maria didn't vote for Charlie, and also celebrating the fact that Asia Welsh is going to be on season 47 of Survivor, which is so cool.
Occasional Top Chef for RHAPup guest, Asia Welsh.
I was telling Haley, I was wrapping up watching the reunion episode just before we were starting. I'm literally in the middle of the preview for Survivor 47, and they showed, and I'm like, wait a minute, I think I know her. Is that you? I was like, congrats, that's so awesome. This is like
so cool.
I'm just kind of. I'm glad you. Thank you for confirming that, because I was going to ask you guys after we got off the call. So
it couldn't be happening to like a better person. Like she is
so sweet,
so smart, so wonderful. She is just like such a lovely person to talk to, and I can't wait for like the whole world to meet her and love her as much as this community does. So that's so fun, and she looks stunningly gorgeous on it. And when I was listening to Love Is Blind recap this season and Asia wasn't on it, I was just like, I guess she's busy. Like, it didn't occur to me that like she could be like busy for like great reasons and not just like busy.
Sometimes your friends go and play Survivor and disappear into Fiji for like a couple months.
Happens to the best of us.
It really does happen to the best of us, and Asia is the best of us. So find me on Twitter talking about things like that. And then I just finished episodes 4 and 5 of The Sympathizer for Silent Podcasts with Naomi. Thank you all so much for being so patient. That's another podcast that suffered from me not feeling well. So we weren't able to do the last week or so. But we are back with episodes 4 and 5. And then we're going to be doing episodes 6 and 7 together, because 7 is the last episode of the series. So yeah, follow me on Instagram at Stormborn1222 as well.
Curt, what about you? If people want to see pictures of the Wicked Spoon tomorrow and also the nightclub tonight, where can they?
I have the worst brain freeze right now.
From chugging your frozen peach Bellini? Yeah.
I don't get brain freeze. It's the trachea freeze, like where you feel it's like freezing all. Like I don't.
Yes. Yeah. And then it hits your stomach. It's so it sucks.
Okay, it's cleared now. Best place to follow me is on Instagram at Curt Clark. Hasn't been a lot of escape room content on there lately because I've only done a couple this year. Hope maybe I'll remedy that while I'm in Vegas. But I am slowly, really only have, I think, one food pickup from Holstein's, the Uber milkshake and burger that I had. We'll see if more makes it on there. But yeah, for food and books, follow me at Curt Clark on the Insta. That's really about it. I'm trying to stream more on Twitch. Feel free to follow me on there. Also at Curt Clark. I just wrapped up Assassin's Creed Mirage. And I'm about to jump into Hogwarts Legacy. But I've downloaded kind of a couple one-off indie games that I am just kind of like giving a shot and experiencing for the first time while streaming it, which is both fun and nerve-wracking.
LaTonya, are you a video game girly?
I don't own a single gaming system.
Wow.
I haven't played video games since college. I don't have anything against them. People that play them seem to be having a ton of fun, and I think I'm missing out.
Probably.
I'm glad you didn't. Glad you didn't say the whole. And I'm happy for, or not that I'm happy for them, or I love that for you.
Oh no! Everyone I know who exists in the world basically plays video games with me, so I feel like I'm the one that's missing out.
I feel like you like games so much that I'm surprised you don't video game.
It is a mystery. I had like a gaming system. I had like a Nintendo when I was growing up, and I grew up playing Legends of Zelda, and then I played a lot of Soul Calibur in college just to, beat people I didn't like at a game.
I can't punch you, but I can beat you at this game.
I can destroy your character.
As a surprise to no one, I like the soft games, like The Sims.
The Sims.
Animal Crossing.
Roblox?
No, I don't do Roblox.
Okay.
It's too harsh sounding. I like Pac-Man. I like the one where I get to jump on stuff. Like I get to jump around.
Casual game.
I like soft games. I'm tempted to get into Stardew Valley, but I just know once I do, it is over for me. So I don't think I should. You can find me on the internet if you want to find me on the internet. Amy and I, this week, we are celebrating 10 years of the Bachelor RHAPup podcast. So we did a special edition podcast where we counted down our top 10 favorite moments in the franchise. And what a 10 years it's been. It's let us hear, and that makes me happy. And it's just very crazy to think that I've been doing this for 10 years.
Like, this is my
Congratulations.
This is my 10th season covering Top Chef. I didn't get to do a retrospective tier.
We'll do one. When
you get to 10.
We'll figure out when the 10th anniversary of the Top Chef RHAPup is, because I think it's like around the same. Because you guys started in Top Chef Boston, right?
We started in the archives. There's episodes of Top Chef 12, but I think we did the tail end of Top Chef. Was Dougie top? What season was 12? Was that Boston?
That was Boston. So
we just covered it
premiered in October of 2014. So I would say by November, December, we can do.
Okay. Then we didn't miss it then. Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
So we'll do that. We'll do that. Maybe because I said the season went from October 15th to February 11th. So maybe in the new year we'll do a little.
Okay.
Maybe we'll get everyone to come hang out with us. Ooh, wouldn't that be fun? That probably won't happen. I don't have the organizational skills for that. But we can dream. Maybe we will. We'll see. And then I got to talk about Bridgerton season 3 and the book Romancing Mr. Bridgerton with Tori from the Ready to Be Romance podcast and our friend Angela Bloom. So that should be coming out this week. Maybe it's already out. That was a lot of fun because I am very into Bridgerton right now and in my Bridgerton era as I have been for the last 3 years. 4 years probably. Anyway, and then you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at @strong_, and you can check out my Bookstagram account at The Strong Library, where I am reading and reviewing all of the books I read. I'm also posting a little bit of cookbook content over there too, because those are also books. So, have a nice time there. And until next time, hopefully there will be no fish boils. Pack your knives and go. Bye!